Hey everybody, hopefully all of you are doing well. Today I'm going to show you the meal that I made for my parents while we were on our short vacation for their anniversary. It's my braised short rib fettuccine. It's super easy and tasty. Let's get into it. So to start the recipe off, we're going to start with our basic ragu sauce. I have a whole medium-sized onion, I have a bell pepper, 1 stalk of celery, a small carrot, and some garlic. And I'm just going to roughly chop everything because in the next step we're going right into the food processor. Once we get everything into the food processor, we're just going to pulse everything until it's nice and fine. Don't forget, for the exact measurements to this recipe, check out gdseasoning.com. The link will be in the description. Next, I'm going to add 1 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes right to the pureed vegetables, and I'm just going to give it a small pulse to break everything down further. Next, we're going to move on and season up our boneless short ribs. I'm using boneless short ribs because I have tried this recipe with the bone-in short ribs and they have a higher fat content, which means they're going to render a much richer sauce. Now, if you're worried about fat content, trust me, the boneless is the direction you want to go, okay? So season up everything, and then we're going to cut them in smaller pieces so that we can sear them on each side. I cut the larger short ribs down to about 4-inch pieces. That way they can all fit in the pan. And remember, when you're browning, you only want to put as much in the pan where they all have space. That way they don't steam, but they will brown. So we're just going to let them sear for about 2 minutes on each side. Right after the meat is brown, it's optional to deglaze the pot with about 4 ounces of red wine if you have it laying around. But if you don't have it, then don't worry about it. Next, I added my pureed vegetables to the pot, my can of tomato sauce, and some tomato paste, and just give that a stir. Alright, so now it's time to add our herbs and spices. We got bay leaves, we have some Grand Diamond all-purpose seasoning, some salt, pepper, oregano, and fresh thyme. We're just going to slide everything in, and we're just going to give that another stir. Also to the recipe is about 2 or 3 tablespoons of flat Italian leaf parsley, but I did not have it when I started filming, so I kept it pushing without it, but it just gives the sauce a nice pop of color, and I love it. Alright, next we're going to add our beef stock. We're just going to stir that in. And then that's it. After we add that, we're going to follow up with our brown short ribs, and we're just going to let the short ribs braise in the ragu sauce right in the oven. There was one more ingredient I almost forgot, was my honey. I just squeezed a little bit onto my spatula. It's about a tablespoon and a half. And what the sweetness does is it takes the acidic bite off of the tomato. So just add a little bit of that in, and then we're ready to head for the oven. So we're just going to cover our Dutch oven with the lid nice and tight, and we're going to bake it at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 2.5 hours. And after it comes out, as you can see, the sauce is very much so concentrated and the meat is super tender. Alright, so now all we're going to do is take the short ribs out of the ragu sauce, and we're going to shred it using 2 forks. Now here's the thing about this much meat. You see 2 pounds of meat here on my surface. My intention was to totally cook all the meat in the sauce, and I was going to use half in the ragu sauce and half for another menu where I was going to nestle the meat in some garlic parmesan mashed potatoes. That's another menu too you can use this for. And so I don't know what I was thinking. I was still in vacation mode, and before I knew it, I slid all of that meat back into the sauce. So my sauce is a little meatier than yours is going to be, but trust me, 1 pound to 1.25 pounds of short ribs is going to do you just fine. So now all we have to do is drop our fettuccine into some hot salted boiling water. If you don't want to use fettuccine, make sure you're using a hearty pasta to go with this hearty sauce, all right? So now what I'm going to do is take a mixing bowl, and I'm just going to toss my sauce into the fettuccine. And it's up to you what kind of ratio of sauce to fettuccine you want to do. Totally up to you. You have lots of freedom with this recipe. And then all you have to do after that is plate it up. Grate yourself some fresh Parmesan cheese or some pecorino romano, and top it with some fresh basil, and you are good to go. Thank you guys so much for coming and stopping by and hanging out and cooking with me. You know I appreciate it. Don't forget, this recipe along with others can be found at gdseasoning.com, and I'll see you guys next time.